The night was a tempest, wind and rain lashing against the magnificent windows of the Harrington estate. A storm raged outside, but inside a different kind of storm was brewing. A scream tore through the opulent halls, a sound of pure, unadulterated terror. In the heart of the mansion, within a study locked from the inside, the master of the house, Lord Harrington, was found dead. He was slumped in his ornate leather chair, his eyes wide, frozen in a mask of horror. Yet there wasn't a single mark on his body. The local constabulary was baffled. A locked room, a man dead from fright. It was a puzzle beyond their means. And so a telegram was dispatched to 221B Baker Street. Soon, the familiar sight of a hansom cab pulling up to the grand entrance brought a sliver of hope. Out stepped the legendary detective, Sherlock Holmes, his keen eyes already scanning, absorbing every detail, followed by his loyal companion, Dr. Watson, who looked grimly at the rain-soaked manor. "A locked room mystery, Watson," Holmes remarked, his voice a low hum of excitement. "The most intellectually stimulating of all criminal conundrums." They were led to the study. The air inside was thick with the scent of old books, expensive cigar smoke, and something else, something faint, floral, yet strangely metallic. Holmes's nostrils flared. He moved through the room with a predator's grace, his gaze missing nothing. The heavy oak door was indeed bolted from within. The windows were latched securely. There was no secret passage, no hidden entrance. It was a perfect, hermetically sealed tomb. Watson observed the scene, seeing only tragedy and confusion. "How could anyone have possibly gotten in or out?" he murmured, shaking his head. Holmes didn't answer immediately. He was on his hands and knees, inspecting the plush Persian rug. His fingers brushed against a small, stiff object partially hidden beneath the leg of a heavy writing desk. He plucked it out and held it up to the lamplight. It was a single playing card, the Queen of Spades. Watson leaned in. "What do you make of it, Holmes?" "Curious," Holmes mused, turning the card over. "Most curious. It seems our killer left a calling card." He then moved to the desk, where an assortment of papers lay scattered. But it was the victim himself that held Holmes's attention. He leaned in close to Lord Harrington's face, ignoring the macabre sight. He sniffed the air around the man's head. "That scent again," he whispered. "Stronger here." Their investigation was soon interrupted by the appearance of the widow, Lady Beatrice Harrington. She was the picture of grief, dressed in black silk, her face pale and streaked with tears. She explained that she had been in her chambers all evening, nursing a headache, a story corroborated by her maid. Her alibi was ironclad. She spoke of her husband with love and sorrow, wringing her hands as she recounted their final conversation. "He seemed distracted, detective," she said, her voice trembling, "worried about a business dealing. He locked himself in the study, as he often did when troubled." Holmes watched her, his expression unreadable. He offered his condolences, his tone gentle, but his eyes were sharp, analytical. As she dabbed her eyes with a lace handkerchief, Watson saw only a grieving widow. But Holmes saw more. He saw a flicker, a momentary flash in her sorrowful gaze. It was not fear, not sadness. It was something else, something calculating, something hidden. After Lady Harrington departed, Holmes returned to the body of her late husband. "Something is not right with that woman's grief, Watson. It is a performance, and not an entirely convincing one." He carefully examined the victim's hands one last time. He noticed that Lord Harrington's right hand, though resting on the arm of the chair, was not entirely relaxed. The fingers were curled tightly, as if clutching something. With delicate precision, using a pair of tweezers from his pocket, Holmes gently pried open the rigor mortis stiffened fingers. There, nestled in the dead man's palm, was a small, crumpled piece of paper. It was a note, written in a frantic, spidery script. Holmes carefully smoothed it out on the desk. The message was short and cryptic. It was a jumble of letters and numbers, a cipher. Watson peered over his shoulder. "What is it? A final message?" "Indeed, my dear Watson," Holmes replied, his eyes gleaming with intense focus, "and I believe it is the key to this entire affair." He began to pace the room, muttering to himself, rearranging the letters in his mind. The scent, the card, the widow's false tears, and now this. The pieces were swirling, forming a dark and sinister picture. Suddenly, Holmes stopped dead. His head snapped up, his face pale. He had deciphered a part of the message. It wasn't just a business dealing that had troubled Lord Harrington. The note didn't point to a single murderer, but to something far larger, far more dangerous. It was the name of a powerful and clandestine secret society, one whispered about in the darkest corners of London, an organization known for its ruthlessness and its reach into the highest echelons of power. Holmes looked from the note to the locked door, a grim understanding dawning on his face. This wasn't just a murder, it was an execution, and by uncovering this note, they had just painted a target on their own backs. The game was afoot, but the stakes were higher than ever before. To find the truth, Holmes would have to step into the shadow of this secret order, a path from which there might be no return. Join us for part 2 as we unravel the conspiracy. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the thrilling conclusion.